I want you to imagine the scene. A small, quiet village, nestled in the English countryside. Fields blanket the area like a green quilt, rolling into a horizon outlined by dense woodland. The village is unassuming at first glance, but once you step closer along its winding stone paths and beneath weathered rooftops, you begin to notice the unease etched into the villagers' faces. And above it all, standing atop the hill like a sentinel of dread, is an abandoned church. Its stone walls crumbling as ivy snakes upward, wrapping itself like nature's claws around the steeple. At the stroke of midnight, its bell tolls, not once, not twice, but 12 reverberating chimes that echo through the fields. The only problem? The bell tower has no bell, not anymore. It was removed years ago after a mysterious tragedy. So what's ringing then? Welcome to the Nightside Archive. Tonight's story takes us to a place laden with haunting whispers and chilling folklore. This is the curse of the tolling bell. The first accounts of this peculiar phenomenon trace back centuries, a time when the church was still active and the bell was in its rightful place. Legend has it that the bell was used not just to mark the passage of time or summon parishioners, but to warn. During darker years, when plague swept through the land, the bell's chimes meant one thing only: death had entered the village. It scared people then, and in some ways, it still does. Fast forward to the early 1900s, after decades of disuse, when the entire congregation vanished overnight. Though the church became deserted, locals swore they could still hear phantom tolls late at night. Witnesses claimed it was most prominent during times of local misfortune: failed harvests, unexplained deaths, even a factory fire that took 50 lives. Each time, without fail, ghostly chimes echoed through the countryside, and each time the locals spoke in hushed tones. The curse of the bell strikes again. One villager named Edith, a historian in her later years, spent decades trying to uncover the truth. She combed through parish records and oral histories, documenting the phenomenon. Her findings painted an interesting picture. The curse wasn't random. In fact, Edith noted that the bell's spectral tolls seemed almost like a warning or a premonition. A chilling pattern emerged. After the first tolling, something inexplicable would occur. A freak accident, a person falling ill. Then the tragedy would escalate as more tolls followed, almost like the peals themselves fueled the disaster. In one particularly eerie case, a farmer reportedly ignored the tolling to tend his fields late at night after hearing the troubling clangs. The next morning, his body was found, partially submerged in a river he'd never gone near before. Most residents avoid the area entirely now. The hillside the church stands on is seen as a no-go zone. Anyone who gets too close reports an overwhelming sense of dread, as though they're intruding on forbidden ground. And the bell. Oh, the bell. It tolls the loudest to those who enter the church itself. Local urban explorers have posted videos online, showcasing haunting auditory clips. You can hear it, the slow, deliberate tolls punctuated by static. And worse. In some videos, the static forms a low, guttural voice demanding, "Leave." Here's one of the theories Edith proposed: that the bell's curse isn't some arbitrary act. She believed it draws on fear, feeding off the panic it inflicts. Each toll is a crescendo, a wave of terror building up to consume whoever ventures too close for too long. Chilling, isn't it? Others, of course, chalk it up to some resonance phenomena. They argue the wind and the hills create an auditory illusion, even matching vibrations that feel like footsteps in abandoned spaces. But can acoustics explain the recorded footage of people whispering? or how the tolling itself seems to follow no natural timing. And here's the part I need you to remember. One night, years ago, Edith herself ventured into the church to prove once and for all what caused the tolling. She set up cameras and recording devices and promised to debunk or document whatever lay inside those stone walls. Her family begged her not to go. When the clock struck 11:59 p.m., she entered. For exactly 3 minutes, live footage streamed to her team waiting in the village. She narrated every step, determined and composed. Then, as midnight struck, the bell chimed. Her voice trembled on tape. You can hear her disbelief. "It's so clear," Edith said, "but there's nothing here. Nothing above in the tower." The sound continued, a quiet metallic resonance filling her equipment. And then silence. Just sudden, unrelenting silence. The live feed cut abruptly. Edith was never seen again. Some claim she fell victim to her own obsession. Others suggest the village fabricated her disappearance, afraid her findings would expose something none of them wanted the world to know. The bell hasn't tolled since that night, until last winter. Reports trickled in of faint chimes near the village when the snow blanketed their remote roads. An accident soon followed. A car overturned on black ice with no apparent reason or explanation. No survivors. It's becoming harder to call it coincidence. But what do you think? Is there a logical explanation? Or is this a warning we're simply not heeding? Either way, the curse of the tolling bell remains one of England's most unrelenting folk horrors. Thanks for tuning in to the Nightside Archive. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next descent into the unknown. Stay curious and stay safe out there.